and having an opportunity to spend some time with Terry and learn a little bit more about how to become certified, Hub certified, and as not only on how to become certified, but how does it help you from a business standpoint? What are the advantages? What can it do for you? So I am also a business owner, Blue Chip Services. We have a security and private investigation company and traffic control, as well as BC Industrial Supply for safety supplies and, that we, market out in the community as well. So working with Terry, like Gina said, whenever you go through the process, she's very quick to help answer any questions. Her and her office were just really good, kind of walking me through everything and always available. So Terry, thank you for that. So if you aren't Hub certified, it's definitely beneficial to work with her to obtain that. So we wanted to do a roundtable and let everyone kind of go around and introduce themselves, what businesses, or what business you have, what services you offer. That way Terry can kind of have an idea, and then we can talk about the application process if you have questions, or questions if you already are certified, So Faustino, do you want to start?
Sure. Faustino Ramirez, owner of Gulf Coast Concrete and Shell. We are a ready mix operation. We have 2 locations, one in Manville and one in Freeport. And I want to start off by saying, Gina, thank you for setting this up, and also for introducing me to Terry. The process was, wow. I thought being dealing with the government, it would take forever in a day, but in 1 week, after submitting my application, I was approved. So working with Terry, it was a godsend. It was a quick response. Anytime I had an email going through the application process or a phone call, Terry was quick to respond, and thank you very much for that.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
What I'm looking for now is, the follow-up is, I got it, how do I use it? That for me is going to be my thing. And we've gotten some state jobs because of that. But I want to be able, there's more opportunities, and I want to see how this can help me to gain access to new markets and new opportunities dealing with the state. But thank you.
Debbie?
Sorry, Mona was just texting me, so I texted you, Gina. Emergency came up. So I guess that's what happened. I'm Debbie Arnett. I'm with Remax Top Realty. I'm in the Pearland area, but I serve all over. I do a lot of networking. I'm an ambassador for a couple chambers, and just involved in other community operations around here. So for me, I just wanted to find out what things I could share with other people to help them. Like Keely, I know her and her husband, Eric, and I thought this might be beneficial for them because their business is pretty unique. So for me to have information for people to come to me whenever they need something, that's kind of why I want to be a part of this. I don't know as far as a realtor what, being certified, I really don't know that can help me. I mean, that's kind of a strange, unless you're commercial, that would be different. So I don't really, as far as myself being certified, I'm not sure how that would even help being a realtor. But that's it.
Okay, thank you. Kaylee?
Hi, so I'm Keely. My husband and I own a company called Rock the Third Coast here in Pearland, where we create custom landmark and monuments, and we also provide engraving services. So we actually have a portable engraving machine, so we can engrave any space, anywhere, anything, basically. We'd really like to try to get more into for our engraving part of it, into the safety side, as far as say chemical companies. A lot of them have their 5S initiatives and need the spaces on the floor to be there all the time, and just kind of stuff like that. And as far as our monuments, they're a custom concrete proprietary blend, but we create any size, shape, color of boulder that they look like a real rock. we can put anything on there, and we kind of are all over Brazoria and Harris.
That's neat. That is unique. So, okay. So, Terry, I think I'm going to go ahead and see if maybe you can answer like Debbie's question as far as, you know, what do you know, what experiences do you have as far as the real estate company, how that would
So,
benefit?
yeah, absolutely. I guess the first thing that I would typically say is the government from local, state to federal buys everything. They buy everything. They procure anything that's out there. If they don't know about the beautiful engraving that Keely and her husband do with their business, it doesn't mean they won't buy it. It just means nobody has shown it to them yet, and they don't know how it's gonna work for them, right? So regardless of what industry you're in, I would typically say to get a small business certification will definitely open the door for you if you are interested in selling to those agencies. The first thing I typically do with a business that is not really sure if their company would be able to sell to the government or a state agency or a municipality or anything like that is really do a search. So I would go to Electronic State Business Daily. It's a posting. It is where really all state agencies post whatever it is they're looking for. And it is a really good thermometer measure if we put your codes in to see if anybody's buying what you're selling. So typically I'll do that either for the state hub, I'll do it for the federal certifications as well. Not only do we package and process the state hub applications for the comptroller, we package all different kinds of certifications, and we're also a federal woman-owned certifier for the SBA. So I think the first thing to do is a little bit of homework. If you are unsure, like if you're a construction company, you don't have to research that. They buy it. You know what I mean? They're going to buy your service. If you are a realtor, I would find what your codes are and I would input them in certain databases and see who's buying it. And if people are buying it, then I would definitely go through the effort of becoming state hub. It's not going to cost you anything other than $70 a year to be listed on their directory. It's a good expense to have. You want to be as visible as possible, but I would definitely start with that. And we can definitely help you. I mean, we're more than just packagers. We're business development specialists. So like Faustino was saying earlier, I got my state hub. Now what do I do with it? So here in this area typically, and I'm happy to extend it to you guys as well, I'm much more familiar with my area of Texas than with yours, but everybody operates basically the same, right? So find out who recognizes your state hub certification, what are the agencies that recognize it, and start marketing. It is as cut and dry as that.
So let me ask you, you said you also help on the federal women-owned certification.
We're a certifier. The SBA has 4 third-party certifiers. That means they have contracted with another agency to help them get those certifications done. So we are a third-party certifier for federal women-owned, and we process them right here in the office all over the country.
And is that the 8A certification? No. What is it? Okay.
So if it's okay, let me just share my screen with you guys and show you. Oh, Gina, will you allow me to share my screen?
Of course.
If not, I can talk you through it and I can send you the chart afterwards. But I've been with this chamber. I've had the pleasure of serving here for 19 years. And so in that time, we have become experts at procurement because we had to. We have our local businesses that want to do business and we're unsure about how to go about looking for new work, right? Because commercial can get a little bit stale, even government gets a little bit stale, and people have not always thought about government as being a good client, right? So what I tell my clients is to look at it in 3 buckets, right? You have commercial America, corporate America or commercial. You have state agencies that actually include a lot more than just state agencies. And then you have federal government. It doesn't matter where you start on that chart. You just want to be on it somewhere, right? It's how you open doors to having new customers and clients. So understanding what they look for and how you can help them to check the boxes, I think is very, very, very important. So when Rita was asking, is 8A woman owned? It is not. 8A is a small business certification that's recognized by the federal government, all federal agencies and military installations. They have 5 areas that they get credit for working with, for issuing RFPs and awarding them to these specific categories of the population. So they are looking for, pardon me?
You should be able to share your screen.
Okay, yeah, I can. So I'm gonna bring this up for everybody. This is those 3 buckets. Remember that I was explaining. Corporate America, state agencies, and federal government agencies. What Rita had asked about was 8A, and it is definitely one of the certifications that the military or federal installations recognize. But they also have Federal Hub Zone, Small Disadvantaged Business, Woman-Owned, and Service Disabled Veteran Businesses. So if you qualify for any of those federal certifications and you are selling something, going back to doing a little bit of searches before you go into the process, if they're buying what you're selling, I would get one in every category. I would get it in commercial, I would get it in state, and I would get one in federal. Because when the opportunity comes up, you want to have that certification already secured, not trying to get it. Because mine is really fast. I can process a state hub overnight if we have to, because they're bidding on something the next day and, oh my God, they don't have a state hub. If you qualify, I can get that state hub certificate for you overnight. But the rest of them take a lot of time. The commercial certifications before COVID were taking 6 months. Now they're probably going to take about 9 months. The federal ones were taking a year before COVID. So now you may be looking at a little more time than that, as long as you have everything together. Woman-owned, again, it's done here at the chamber through our Women's Center. So you're only looking at a couple of weeks if you qualify for woman-owned. Disadvantaged business enterprise, again, about 6 months to 9 months for TxDOT. But I think it's very important that we educate ourselves about what's out there, who's buying what we're selling, and then how are we going to make sure that they're going to be buying it from you guys, from Rita, from Faustino. How do we make sure that they do that? Because right now they're buying it from somebody, right? And like you and I, we get comfortable going to the same beauty parlors, hair, clothes, food. We buy all the stuff that we buy usually at the places that we know that are convenient to us, that have not done us wrong, not treated us badly. And that's the same way with government buyers or buyers across the board. They're going to keep on buying from who they're buying from unless you show them a reason they should buy from you. And the reason that they should buy from you is because you help them check boxes to meet their goals. Okay, so I know that goes around a long way about what your question was, but just so that you know, think about these 3 buckets and where do you want to be? And is it smart right now to think about, hey, if I qualify and I have a little bit of budget money, I know that I need my minority certification, I need a women's certification, I need my state hub, or I need federal, depending on where you want to be working at, in which areas, because those certifications translate into meeting the goals of those agencies. So all of a sudden, you become a very attractive business to help them meet their goals. So I'll stop there and see if there are any questions, and then we
Yeah,
can
that
go
was
on.
really good to see this chart. I've never seen the chart to kind of see where things fall.
Well, I
Um,
used to draw this chart on the back of all of my legal pads as I was talking to people about
oh
it
my
every
gosh.
day. And I finally said, let me just do it where it's a little bit more visual. I send it out all the time. And it's a very good guide for us to look at and say, you know what, maybe right now corporate is not where I need to be, and I'm not selling a lot to corporations like this. They've never asked me for a certification. So I'm going to focus my time on state and federal. And again, look at state really quickly. State agencies include any Texas Department of anything, right? The state bar, criminal justice, environmental quality, but it also includes the city and the county. So your city and county utilize certifications to help them to break ties, to determine if a business has been vetted, it's qualified, and it's going to help them meet their goals too. Here in Texas, obviously, the UT systems, all of our utilities, county-funded hospitals, and all school districts also recognize the state hub. So immediately upon getting that, these become your potential clients. So the first thing you should be doing is, number one, putting State Hub on all of your marketing materials, right? The state seal or the little state logo, you can put that on all of your marketing materials and start building a network of these buyers. The information is public. You can look for it online. If you want to work with UT Permian or UT Austin, Texas A&M, any of those, you just go to their website, input their purchasing department, and it'll bring up their phone numbers, their emails, all of their contact information. And I would start telling them, hey, I'm a new state hub. I'm going to help you meet your goal. Because look right here. State agencies have a goal of between 23 and 40% of their spend has to be spent on these kinds of businesses. Small, minority, women, service disabled veterans. Those are the only ones that can qualify for a state hub certification. If you are not small, if you're not woman owned, if you're not a service disabled veteran, you are not going to qualify for state hub. So it puts you in a whole different category. Federal government has a goal of 23%. And it is not, hey, government, make a good faith effort to meet this goal. It is meet the goal, or you're going to have to explain to Congress why you didn't. So again, it's positioning your business in a very good place. Every federal agency has a goal of 23% that they have to make. These certifications right here tell them you've been through the process, you are who you say you are, and you're going to be able to meet your goal if you work with me.
No, this is really a good slide. If you could share that, I think that's something that we can kind of help Gina
Yeah,
to share
definitely.
with all of our businesses.
Yeah, if you can email that to us, that would be great.
Of course.
That's just a great opportunity, being that there is a lot of money out there, but, having the certification and being able to be a part of that, because a lot of the times these state agencies can't meet their goals because they can't find you. And
Well, they don't do a lot of work to find you.
no, so I think, you marketing yourself to these state agencies will help them meet their goals.
Absolutely. So, before the pandemic, and I'm saying 7 months ago, expos, meet and greets, B2Bs, those were very common, right? Everybody has them in everybody's community. I know because I get notices from TxDOT all the time. I get notices from the State Hub. I get them from DIR. These are state agencies that are always trying to meet businesses because they have those goals to meet. They have to make an effort to find these businesses.
Yeah.
So that was really the thing to do. So we're having to really change the mindset a little bit more, become one with your computer, right? And be building these networks, even if it's on an Excel sheet, that down at the bottom you have, you know, a state agent, state, local, federal, whatever it is. I'm going to stop sharing and bring up another screen that I have that I share with our clients and businesses as well. Is, hold on just for a second, it's this one. So as our businesses start to get certified, I know I told you this, Rita, I know I told Faustino, because I tell everybody the same thing. Getting the certification is only half of the battle, right? Getting it is fantastic, but now you got to figure out, how do I use it? So as soon as our businesses become State Hub certified, I'll give them a starter list. So it's not all inclusive, but it is a good starting point for them to start finding out, hey, what agencies do I want to work with? And I give them this chart. It's an Excel list, very quick and easy. Here are some state agencies. Here is the website you go to register as a vendor. Because if you can register as a vendor without even having a certification, but having a certification makes you a preferred vendor, because now you're going to help them meet their goals, right? So you go into these websites and you register as a vendor, and then I'll move this over. And then I give you another website that is where you go to search for bids, because they all post them. They either post them on their website. They also give them to Electronic State Business Daily. That's a state website where everything is put into play there that they're trying to buy. And so going into these websites shows you how to, you would start searching, right? If you become a vendor, they may even decide, you know what, we email our opportunities out to you. Here, our city of El Paso, every Thursday, like clockwork, will send an email out to their registered vendors, letting them know what they're buying in construction, in service, in commodities. What is it that they're trying to buy? So they'll have an opportunity to see that. But I do this for all of my clients and customers. Here's where you go to register as a vendor. Here's where you go to look for opportunities so that you can start building this network yourself. And then for federal, again, here's federal. If you want to look at Department of Defense, if you want to go into the Department of Labor, here are some examples of those federal websites and where you can go into them. I even listed a couple for New Mexico, since we're so close, to see what kind of opportunities are there. So it's just a matter of becoming very persistent and really keeping a good resource list. Here's where I'm going to go look. Here's where I'm going to search weekly, or here is where I'm going to sign up to get opportunities to bid on.
I have a question. Oh.
Yes.
Is the code you're talking about the NAICS code?
So it is the NAICS code for federal work. For state, it is a commodity code. So it really is like it's matched, but it's a different set of numbers. There's a whole book around it.
So what is the thing for if you don't look up an NAICS code, what are the other codes called? Like how would you?
They're called commodity. I mean, for federal, they are they're NAICS codes. For state, they are commodity codes. So I can get those to you. Yeah, it's just a matter of finding your right code. Faustino went through this, and so did Rita when they were indicating to me on the actual certification application. It will ask you, what are your commodity codes? And if you are unsure what they are, you just give me keywords, key things that your business does, not the fluffy stuff like we're the best and all of that good stuff, but we're an engraver, we're a printer, we're a construction, we're general remodeling, whatever. I can find your commodity codes for you. And then I can search on them too and see who's buying it.
So I can't wait till we kind of get to a point where we're able to have our, because we did want to have a business expo, and that's where I really wanted to invite a lot of these state agencies. As soon as we kind of get to that point, I would like to start having those regularly, because I do want our members that are certified to be able to start strengthening those partnerships with, building those relationships with those state agencies.
Sure.
Absolutely. And Jane, I think what I'm going to do, I've already got a list started that I have similar to what she shared as far as where you can go to become an approved vendor. So I'll go ahead and put something, make it a little bit more formal or prettier than what I have right now.
Yeah.
And that way we can start sharing that with our members as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Are you talking about like your list?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because I have mine is like a handwritten list of what I go look at, like weekly. I try to go in and look.
And I'm going to tell you too, as you start growing, because let me just say, I wrote down some notes when we started talking. It's super important to know what certifications are for. Like, they're definitely to benefit your business, but on the other side of the desk, they are to help those agencies meet their goals,
Right.
their mandated goals, right? Getting the certification is half the battle. The rest comes to market yourself. It really is an exercise in looking at all of your marketing materials, from your website to your capability statement, all the way down to your business card. Like, if your business card has nothing on the back, it should say State of Texas Hub Certified, and the little State of Texas stamp should be on there. That is a big thing as you're passing out your card, not so much to regular people off the street, but it is to those agencies. So you have to make sure your marketing is targeting your audience, right? Be very aggressive in your pursuit of contracts and opportunities. You have a lot of competition. There is a lot of competition out there, and some are experiencing some downtime they have for the last 7 months. And I'm going to tell you, the number of certifications that we're doing has gone through the roof, because it takes time to put these together, and time is something that a lot of people didn't have before March 13th, right? So now they've got some time, and they're really dedicating that time to putting these things in place. You remember my chart? They're looking at getting some corporate certifications, getting some state, and getting some federal, because they are working on their business right now, because business is going to reopen. I mean, we're going to have the peaks and the valleys, obviously, but work is going to continue. The building that was going on here and purchasing through city and state has not stopped. My contractors, and they've been as busy in the last months that they have ever been. So they're having to do things differently, but there is still buying and purchasing being done out there. I say research and educate yourself about the agencies that recognize the certifications that you have. Get to know those purchasers. A lot of them are working from home. They may not be as quick or as responsive as you'd like them to be, because when we're at work in an office like I am, I look at my emails all the time. They're always open, so I am able to respond very quickly. When you're at home, they probably have set times that they're checking them, because I get responses maybe once a day versus once an hour, right? So just know that, and make sure that you're contacting them on a very regular basis with a really good looking piece of marketing material. Create your network. Find out those contractors' names and build a database as quickly as you can, as simply as you can. All you need it to be is in Excel, so you can cut and paste into the BCC column of your email and send out your capability statement, very regularly. Let them start recognizing your name.
Mm-hmm.
Ask for feedback if you don't win a proposal. If you bid on something, Rita, you were mentioning TxDOT, and you don't win, it's your right to get a debrief from the buyer, and they can tell you what they didn't like about your proposal. Maybe they didn't like the format. I mean, ordinarily it's not that small. Ordinarily, it's going to be something you did not sign, or that you didn't include that they asked you to include, maybe a page that you didn't get notarized that needed to be. It can be that little, but that will help you when you go about bidding again, and it helps to strengthen your next proposal. And then, like I said, let me share my screen one more time because I want to show you all a sample of a capability statement. You all may not be familiar with that. If you don't do a lot of work in the government areas, whether it's local, state, or federal, this is not going to be familiar to you. But if you do, then you know what this is. This is you in a nutshell, your business. It is what you send to a purchaser. Once you get that good list going of the agencies you want to work with, this is what you're going to be sending them. This shows them who you are. So Aztec is one of our contractors, work with them a lot. They put their professional licensing right here. They put their DUNS number right here and their cage code number, which doesn't mean anything at all to state agencies, but they're primarily a federal contractor. And the way you can tell that is that they've put NACE codes and not commodity codes, right? Commodity are for state, NACE are for federal. They've listed the small business certifications that they have, federal first, then state. These are the primary things that they do. So these buyers identify you by numbers, right? These identification numbers. So you want to make sure they're on there. Their corporate contacts are Frank and Nancy. Services that they primarily do: engineering, construction, multifamily. They've had some IDIQs. These are all federal language that they're talking about here, but it lets a buyer very, very quickly know what their capacity is, right? And then where their corporate locations, and then right down here at the bottom, see their state hub. They have it right here. There's their state hub logo. They're accredited by the Better Business Bureau. They're in the Allied States Cooperative. That's a state buy board as well. They're a federal hub zone business. So they, at a glance, a buyer can tell who this business is, right? You guys need to have something like this as well. I would go so far as to say I wouldn't combine them like he did here. If this is federal, it's federal. If it's state, it's state, because they don't cross-recognize each other. Having a small business certification in the state one, the federal, it doesn't matter to the federal. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The state recognizes theirs, federal government recognizes theirs, corporate recognizes theirs. They're not unified. It's not like you can get one and they all recognize it. So there's a little legwork to it, but I think it's definitely worth the effort.
Would you be able to also send that example of that capability statement? That would be awesome.
Absolutely.
I have a question, Gina. I told Keely, I just want to make sure it's right. So if they are a member of the chamber, this is a free service to them through Terry?
Well, usually because we are a partner. If they're a chamber member, yes, I will do the introduction to the El Paso Hispanic Chamber.
We typically charge $150 for processing. I mean, you're going to find that anywhere, but we do waive it for the Brazoria County Chamber members, so there's not a cost. And between me and my team, once you've gotten that certification, everything right now is being done online. It's not that hard to coach you through building a capability statement or registering as a vendor on a website. We can help you to do that as well.
So the other thing is, some of the people I've talked to, like Keely, I'm not sure if she spoke to her husband, but if they change their business to her owning just even 1% more than him, then they can qualify
For what?
for the minority as a woman-owned business, as long as she owns a more percentage of the business than he does, correct?
As long as she is a majority owner
Right.
and that's 51%.
That's what I was thinking.
It needs to be in the bylaws, in the operating agreements, and it can't just be on paper. Like, she has to get paid like the owner. It has to be in her job description that she is responsible for the control of the business and the day-to-day. So means she would have to be called president, not vice president, right? You'd have to be president because yeah, everything has to match across the board for her to get that.
How long does that take for somebody to do that? Like if I was to meet somebody like her or whatever other people that I speak with, how long would it take them to change that if it happens to be owned 50-50 or, you know, not in the majority?
It just depends on how you have the business structured. If it's an informal kind of business, like it's a, God, what would it be? A partnership? If it's a corporation or an LLC, you would have to amend your bylaws. You'd have to go through the state and file for an amendment and then let them know what that percentage is of ownership. So it's reflected in her corporate documents, right? It just depends on the process. I would guess that it wouldn't take more than 60 or 90 days, but make sure that if you are encouraging people to do that, that they really are the ones that are in charge of the day-to-day, right? Because being a woman owned gets you a lot of opportunity, but it also comes with a lot of scrutiny because it's one of the most, it's one of the certifications that has the most fraud. Because, you know, in a lot of businesses, they think they're going to get more opportunities because it's woman owned, right? May not necessarily be the case. And they may have an outside job. We see a lot of construction companies that want to put the name of the company ownership under their wife. And if the wife is working outside of the business as a nurse or doing something else, the paperwork's not going to match. Everything's not going to match. And they'll be able to tell, like, the husband's the one that's doing this job, right? They just think they're going to get more opportunity. So I would just be really careful to make sure that if it's indeed the case, it can be shown. You get paid like the owner. If they come to a site visit, you have an actual office. You're not the one that's over in the broom closet or whatever, because we've had them, we've done them as well. So it comes up. You really have to look to see too, if there's more opportunity with you being a woman owned than if there isn't.
So I have a question on the federal hub zone.
Okay.
Do you guys work with that application as well, or do you just help?
Oh yeah, we have a women's center through the SBA. It's 20 years old this year, so we're a packager for any of the certifications. We package them all, but we just don't certify for the hub zone, but we can show you how to work it. So for the federal hub zone, which is right here, you do have to qualify for this. You have to, your business has to operate in a recognized federal hub zone, and 35% of your employees have to reside in a federal hub zone. So this has some qualifications to it. If that 35% ever falls below that, and you have a federal contract for a hub zone, you have to voluntarily let them know, let the SBA know that, and they can potentially pull that contract. So federal hub zone is tough to get and tough to keep.
Okay.
There are some requirements. The federal government's favorite is 8A. It is their favorite certification. It's been around the longest. They're most familiar with it, and they're most familiar with 8A businesses. We operate one of the only 8A and government contractors committees or associations in the state. We've looked everywhere. We know there's a federal 8A. It's primarily geared to Alaska Native businesses. It's actually in Alaska. So we have one of the only 8A associations. And I can tell you, it's a very good federal certification to have. The local SBA will literally ensure that you get at least one federal contract a year through this, and sometimes more. They have a lot of the responsibility to market you to the federal agencies. So that's a good thing.
Okay.
And then of course there's women-owned. Women-owned and economically disadvantaged, it's based on your NAICS code. It's based on your NAICS code. It is not every business, but we can walk you through all that stuff too. There's so much to it. Just know that there's help, that we can walk you through it, explain it, and get you right through the process. And then of course afterwards show you how to use it.
So I have a couple of questions. One of our members was able to participate because she had clients. On the class codes, are we limited to what we put as far as bidding on jobs? If a job comes up and is not listed on our class codes, and we still think that we can provide the services, can we still bid on it?
So here's the thing. Are they asking federal or state? I guess it doesn't really matter. They're going to look to your profile. So let me use Faustino just as an example. He gave me several commodity codes that he indicated he does for his business, right? That identify his company. If he were to bid on a state hub job, they're going to look at the codes that he's indicated he's got expertise in. If it's something outside of that scope, they're not going to really buy that he's an expert in it. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. So in the very beginning stages is where I would set this up, because now you're in a directory. They can look in that directory, and they're also going to look at your capability statement. Does that mean you cannot? It doesn't necessarily mean you can't, but it means that they may not consider you, because you have to indicate to them somewhere. You can't be, an expert at everything. You have to identify what you do. And so that's what they're going to go by. And by they, I mean the buyer, the people that are determining if they're going to give you this contract. For federal, you have to list in your profile your primary NAICS code. That's one code. The one thing that earns you the most revenue is your primary. You can list as many secondaries as you want. If you've got a friend in IT, but you're construction, a secondary can be IT, right? Because potentially you could do it if you have somebody you can partner with. It's not hard to add them. You just have to make sure that you've got some expertise in those areas. If you don't, it could be very hard for them to choose you.
Next question she had is, if you are a corporation and you do not have all of the documentation required, how can you be approved? So this business has been in existence for many, many years, Yeah. So she's having a hard time finding a lot of the paperwork as far as her corporation is concerned.
So I'm going to tell you that there really is no way around it. If you are a corporation, they expect, and again, this goes back to being a good, it's a good teaching tool when you start doing certifications, that you can get your hands on your corporate documents. It could be that other people have had them, a CPA might have it, an attorney might have something else, a bookkeeper might have something, but you really should have all your corporate documents, and they should be current and updated on a very regular basis. It's just how, it's the right way to do business. And again, certifications are a really good lesson in making sure that you're set up right. Like if Keely is the 51% owner and her bank signature card says it's her husband and not her, they're going to question that. You know what I mean? That says she doesn't have control of the money, right? So make everything match, be able to have your hands on everything, and work with a CPA or an accountant to recreate your documents if you cannot find the original documents.
And another question is, how safe, I think sometimes people, when they do when they go through the process, they're asking a lot of, they're asking for important documents, and I think sometimes they get setbacks saying, wow, I'm gonna get all of this information, and not knowing how safe it's going to be.
So, the first thing I tell any of my clients when I visit with them or talk with them and they're looking at any certification is these agencies that issue the certificates are intrusive. They are in every aspect of your life. They're going to look at a net worth document that says what you owe versus what you own. They're going to look at your bank signature card. They look at your income tax returns. Some want more than others. The corporate and the federal are the ones that want everything on you. So you have to know that going in. If you are uncomfortable with that in any way, then don't pursue it. You know what I mean? Market yourself as a non-certified business. Just go about marketing and make sure your name's out there, and depend on your expertise at what you do. Your past performance, you can still do that. Lots of businesses operate without certifications. They just open a lot of other doors to getting them. But again, it's up to you. The agencies do their best to make sure that information is safe. I know that I maintain my State Hub files here in my office. My filing cabinet is locked. Nobody has access to it. It is just printed from what you guys give me straight to the file. It's there to be audited if the state comptroller ever wants to look and make sure that you were vetted. But agencies do the very best they can to make sure your information is safe. And I would say that that's really the whole answer. They're going to do what they can to make sure that it's safe. But if you are uncomfortable with it, then I would definitely not pursue it.
Does anyone else have any other questions?
Terry,
So
can
You
you
can
send
say
me
that.
can you send me that flyer that you made again? Because I could not find it for the life of me.
Oh yeah, I'll send the certification explanation, a sample of the capability statements, and then I would say the ones that have your State Hub, go to work building those networks, right? Get the names of those procurement people. It's going to take a little bit of searching to find it, but you can find it. It's all public info. If for whatever reason you can't, call me, and I usually have all the State Hub coordinators. They're the ones that are like, we can't find any. So I can help them find you and let them know that you guys are around. And for any of the ones that have not gotten a certification at all, give me a call. We'll schedule a Zoom. We'll go over what the requirements are, what are the benefits of them, and even do a little advanced work to see who's buying what you're selling. And then if it's worth it for you to do it, or you feel like it is, then let's get them. This is a very good time to be working on your business, as opposed to being in it and running all the time like we always are, right? Right now is the time to get it all shored up and be in the right lane to find some of these opportunities with these agencies.
Okay, awesome.
I have a question. I raised my hand on there, but I don't know if it shows. I try not to interrupt, but sometimes it's hard because I don't hear till after you already said something and I start talking. So can you put your phone number down for contact to speak?
And I'll also be on the flyer that I'm going to give you.
On the flyer. Okay, so the other question I had was, you were talking about they, look into all the aspects of your life. Now, if you're a woman-owned business, but you're married, are they going to look at your net worth with you and your husband, even though
yes.
he's
Texas is a community property state, so they will look at both of your assets.
So is that a pro or a con? Because if as a couple, not including your business, you have stock market stuff and you have property and whatnot, are they going to look at it like, well, you have too much of this, so we can't, do they look at it in a monetary way, or is it totally done by?
The only one that really looks at the net worth is the 8A, the federal ones, the 8A and the woman-owned, because you have to be beneath a certain threshold in order to qualify for them. So for 8A, your net worth has to be 250,000 or below, right? So if you are a business that's been around for a long time, you've accumulated a lot of wealth, then that might not be the program for you. Once you're in it, that net worth can go up to 750,000. It's a business development program. So really that's the only one, it and women owned, that have a threshold for net worth, right? Those are really the only two. The other ones are based on the size of the business, your business code, where you're located. So it only necessarily comes into play in the federal arena.
Any other questions?
I think that's it. Thank you, Terry, so much for
Sure.
joining us today. This was extremely helpful.
I'm glad.
Great
Yes.
information.
Thank y'all so much for having me in this. Sorry I was late.
No worries.
So,
Spread the word to
before
your
we leave,
friends.
Kaylee, where do you get your cement?
So it's like a whole mix. So it's like the dry cement. We get it from a place in Manville. My husband usually picks it up. So I'm actually not sure. It might be Faustino. I don't know.
Just throwing a plug in for you, Faustino.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you guys. And Terry, I'm definitely going to be reaching out to you soon.
Okay, look forward to it. Thank you. Stay
Thank you,
safe
guys.
out there.
Thank you guys for
Thank you, guys.
attending.
Yeah, thank you.
Keely, if you're interested in joining the chamber on the website, you can do that.
Do it all through there.
Or you
Okay,
can
perfect.
put my cell number and I can talk to her a little bit more and then give her some more information.
Okay, I'll share her number with you then.
It was a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you so much. I hope you guys have a great day today.
You too.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.